pleasure to be able to stand up and share my thoughts and feelings with this congregation. Today, my title is Kissed by the Universe. You may be wondering where that title came from. Well, you know, some people say that they're blessed, and some people say they're lucky, and I believe that I am kissed by the universe. Sometimes it might be a big old smooch, and sometimes it's a little tiny peck, but I just wait for those kisses from the universe to come through. And when I was putting this service together, it was really evident, and you'll see at the end. So some of my earliest memories are of taking the Chicago and Northwestern train from Union Station in downtown Chicago to visit my grandma in Dixon, Illinois. I can clearly remember the feel of the luxuriously upholstered reclining seats that felt like velvet. And to this day, train travel is my favorite mode of transportation. Dixon was a very small town, and all my relatives were farmers. I loved leaving the city to go to the farm, even though I was intimidated by the big black cows across the road. I loved my grandma's black and white cows, and I loved the stinky pigs and the loud roosters and chickens. The highlight of each visit was going to town to the Piggly Wiggly. They had child-sized grocery carts that were just a treat to push through the store. I had the best of both worlds, living and growing up in a big city and going to the country and spending time on the farm. But before I go on, I'm curious about y'all. We all come from different backgrounds and different places. Did you live and grow up in a big city, or a small town, or a suburb, or the country? So now I'm going to ask you to stand up. I'm going to read those 4 locations again. And please stand, and that way we can all know where we all came from. So, big city. Thank you. Small town. Oh, that's more. Suburb. And the country. That could be a farm or a ranch. Boy, we come from all over the place. Good. Thank y'all. So that's very interesting. Now back to business. So I got bit by the travel bug at a very early age. My middle name should have been Wonderlust. My parents fostered this bite with our annual August vacation. We always traveled by car and went somewhere different every year, whether it was Washington, D.C., or New Orleans, or Mount Rushmore, or the World's Fair in Montreal, all around the country. We stayed in Holiday Inns and Howard Johnson's. And since I was an only child, I had a friend or a cousin to join me on every vacation. We loved jumping into the motel pool and swimming for hours. That was kind of a highlight of the day. And I remember learning how to dive in North Platte, Nebraska. My favorite subject in grammar school was geography. I loved it and I excelled in it. Today, I kick butt at trivia when it comes to geography questions. I was just in awe of places like the Taj Mahal and the pyramids, Machu Picchu, the Great Wall, There was so much in the world. I was just intrigued. I wanted to see it all, but how could that ever happen? I was just a little girl with a blue-collar dad and a pink-collar mom in a middle-class neighborhood in Chicago. My first road trip on my own without my parents was with my friend Penny. She was 16 and I was 17. I look back on it and our parents must have been nuts to let us do that. But my parents had just bought me a 1966 Rambler Classic station wagon. It was turquoise blue because I was on my way to college and they wanted me to come home sometimes. And they thought a station wagon was a good choice because it was a large vehicle. They saw safety. All I saw was road trip. I covered lots of miles in that vehicle. I would hit the road at the drop of a hat. I've always had a servant's heart and started volunteering when I was so young I had to lie about my age. But that's a whole nother story. I learned that I could expand my local volunteering to volunteering at conferences and conventions around the country. What a great reason to travel. The one conference that truly affected my life was held at the Broadmoor Hotel in Colorado Springs. I staffed the registration desk, which meant I was able to meet many participants and speakers. This is when I learned about the mind-body connection and how the immune system and the nervous system affect our overall health. This was all before the internet, and I have no memory of how I even learned about psychoneuroimmunology, but it has been the foundation of my life. It wasn't It wasn't until 1999 that I got a passport. My first trip was to China. I not only got to see the Great Wall, but I walked along and on the Great Wall. What an experience. Well, once I had a passport, the world really opened up to me. I was always on the lookout for travel opportunities. I was volunteering at an AARP 50+ conference and picked up a flyer. This was definitely before the internet. It advertised a trip to Rarotonga for $699, cash only. I was like, where the heck is Rarotonga? Looked around, and I was like, where the hell is Rarotonga? Well, Rarotonga is in the Cook Islands, which I'd never heard of. That in itself was a great reason to go. Yep, I would happily go to a Polynesian nation in the middle of the South Pacific by myself. The company offering this trip was some kind of travel consolidator. I've always been rather fearless and a risk taker, so I sent off my $699 money order. I was taking a huge chance. If it was legit, it was going to be memorable. And if it was a scam, I lost $699 plus postage and the fee for the money order. It wasn't long before my Air New Zealand hard copy tickets arrived in the mail. Those tickets alone were priced at $9.99. $999. And that price was actually on the ticket. This package that I took a chance on included transfers, a hotel on the beach, breakfast, and a tour of the island. Taking this chance really paid off, and it gave me a unique stamp in my passport. So growing up, I wanted to be a stewardess, well, flight attendant, but I could never reach and maintain the weight requirement, which I saw as a weight restriction. I wanted to get paid to travel, but had to wait decades before this would happen. In 2011, I was hired as a tour director with Women Traveling Together, a company based in Annapolis. Finally, I was able to travel the world and get paid for it. And I made tips. So over the years, I've traveled to the pyramids, to Machu Picchu, Taj Mahal, and other places I was in awe of as a child. I've also traveled to locations I didn't even know I wanted to visit. My list has grown over the years, as did the number of stamps in my passport. I've been to all 7 continents, well, really 6.5, because I did not walk on the continent of Antarctica, but I have sailed through the Drake Passage, and I walked around the Falkland Islands, and I have seen lots of penguins and icebergs. So I've learned firsthand some of the customs, rituals, and traditions from around the world. What I've learned is basically we are all the same, regardless of what we eat, how we dress, what kind of accent we have, or where we come from. There are a few travel tips that stand out to me, tips that are worth sharing. Number 1, please keep these in mind when you're traveling. Follow the rules. If the light is red and says don't walk, even if there's no traffic, don't walk. Use your common sense, like don't jaywalk. Watch out for local bikes and dog walkers. You are a guest in their community. Don't stop mid-step to take a photo, because more than likely there is somebody walking right behind you. Always use the local currency. Don't expect to use the US dollar everywhere you go, and by all means, don't even ask if they will accept it. Allow plenty of time so you don't have to rush to the bus or run through the airport. Graciously ask for directions. Don't barge into a shop and interrupt the shopkeeper. Be aware of pickpocketing. Pickpocketers can look like college kids, a nice suburban family, or businessmen. Don't wear backpacks with zippers. Leave your good jewelry at home. And don't be afraid to make eye contact, and always smile. The number 1 common denominator that I've learned from traveling around the world is the power of a smile. It's amazing the doors it can open. Who would guess a smile could have so much power? For such a simple action to have impact and benefits on our personal health, mental, emotional, and social relationships is really quite something. It is a fact that a smile has tremendous impact. Let's take a look. Smiling not only boosts our physical and mental health, but it can also benefit those around us. Just like a yawn, a smile is contagious. This is because we have mirror neurons, which are a class of brain cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we watch someone else perform that same action. Essentially, our brain mirrors the behavior of others, translating what you see into your own motor system. This was identified and discovered in the 1990s when a study on the premotor cortex of macaque monkeys was conducted. Smiling relieves stress. The effects of smiling can permeate your entire being. It helps prevent us from looking tired, worn down, and overwhelmed. And best of all, if you don't feel like smiling, you can force a fake smile. It'll still reduce stress, and no one will know it. People are naturally drawn to people who smile. Negative facial expressions like frowns, scowls, and grimaces work to push people away. Have you heard of RBF? Yes. Okay. Resting bitch face. RBF. It's a colloquial term for a neutral facial expression that unintentionally conveys anger, annoyance, or contempt. This is a genuine phenomenon that is driven by facial geometry, such as naturally downturned lips or furrowed brows that appear to represent emotions that don't really exist. There are practical and cosmetic approaches that can help to soften the default expression of RBF. 25 years ago, más o menos, I had Bell's palsy. And fortunately, I recovered very quickly. But to this day, I have lasting residuals from on the right side of my face from when my face fell. To look at me, you don't notice it. But when I am photographed, I am a perfect expression of RBF. Yeah, honest. The weakness and the paralysis that occurred on the right side of my face has given me a little one-sided smile and a droopy eyelid. Again, you can't notice it. When I'm tired, it's really, really noticeable. And thank goodness it's only noticeable at those times. And also when my photo is taken. Man, I steer away from cameras now because of my RBF appearance. You know, it's the instant click of the camera shutter that captures the difference. Photogenic people photograph well because of their symmetrical faces. And I researched this quite some time ago because I couldn't figure out why I looked so crappy in photographs. You know, when I was younger, I was cute, and then, you know, that changed. And that's when I learned that it's just a millisecond, millisecond when that flash goes off. So anyhow, and please don't come looking at me up close. So some more about smiling. The physical act of smiling activates pathways in your brain that influence your emotional state, meaning that by adopting a happy facial expression, your mind can be tricked into entering a state of happiness. And remember, this happens even if your smile is forced rather than genuine. What a great way to trick your brain into feeling happier. And this has been proven with the facial feedback hypothesis. Think of smiling as a natural antidepressant. A simple smile helps to trigger the release of neuropeptides, which improve your neural communication. This also causes the release of neurotransmitters, which can reduce anxiety and boost your mood. The endorphins that are released during a smile act as natural painkillers, helping the body manage discomfort. To heck with all those prescriptions. Laughter specifically seems to cause muscle relaxation while lowering blood pressure. This happens after an initial increase in heart rate, breathing rate, and oxygen consumption. Well, the same is true for smiling. You can easily test this hypothesis. With a blood pressure monitor, take a reading while you are frowning. Then wait a little bit, start smiling, take another reading. See what happens. So your immune system functions more effectively and improves because you are more relaxed when you smile. The release of gut hormones and antibodies that reduce inflammation help to mediate the immune system, period. So remember, when cold and flu season comes around, start smiling more than usual. So this is a lot about smiles, but I have saved the best for last. In 2018, 2 dentists from Illinois founded National Smile Day to encourage smiles, spread joy, and promote the benefits of good oral health. They were dentists. National Smile Day is included in the National Day Calendar, which is an online database on holidays and celebratory days. And guess what? National Smile Day is May 31st. And today's May 31st. So smile. When I read that, I was like, oh boy, the universe is giving me a big smooch on this one. Finally, there is also a World Smile Day, and it is celebrated on the first Friday in October. That day is globally recognized. It was started by Harvey Ball in 1999. Now, Harvey Ball was the commercial artist who created the iconic yellow smiley face in 1963. He created it in less than 10 minutes and was paid $45. So I encourage you all to make smiling a part of your everyday routine. Smile when you wake up. Fall asleep with a smile on your face. Just smile. And when you are traveling, regardless of whether it's to HEB or the other side of the world, remember to always give away some smiles.